Hi, and welcome to Bob and Friends. I'm Bob Berg with two of my great friends, Kim Angeli and Jeff West. Uh, Both former still entrepreneurs, still sales stars, but that's what they did for a living before they went into that other living of giving speeches and doing all these fun things all over the place for so many great people. And in just a bit, we'll introduce a couple of our other great friends, but just a little bit about our Jeff and Kim, both again top producing salespeople and entrepreneurs. Jeff for a well-known Fortune 500 company. I won't say the name, but it rhymes with Raflac and seems to walk like a duck. And let's see, he's also now with an award-winning author. He's since getting out of the insurance biz, he's written 3 books, authored and co-authored, and has 6 awards already. His first book was The Unexpected Tour Guide, which was just a wonderful look at sales, what it's really all about, and how to become a lot more better at it. And he's just a great guy. He has another book coming out later this year with Bill Cates. I got to read an early version. It is outstanding, and can't wait to take a deeper look at this on a future episode. He's also the creator of Fusion Points, a wonderful concept to help in your prospecting and in your sales conversations. I love Jeff saying, stop making sales presentations and have sales conversations. Kim Angeli, again, one-time major producer. She was a $65 million producer in technology sales and went on to have her own insurance business before selling that and going into the business of really showing companies and individuals how to revolutionize their retention and referrals. Now, she recently published her first book. It's called My Daily Gratitude Journal. Hearing all sorts of great things about that. It's so fun seeing that selling. And I love her saying, and that is, it's not your client's job to remember you. It's your job to be unforgettable. Be sure and check out Jeff's website at jeffcwest.com. And of course, Kim Angeli, kimangeli.com. Kim Angeli, angel with an I. And let's see. Oh, they both have great resources, by the way, so you want to subscribe to those. Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you guys having fun today? Looking forward to our guests?
I am excited. I met these two back at an NSA meeting years ago, and they're just two of the most genuinely wonderful people you'll ever run into. I'm looking forward to this.
They are incredible. They spoke to our Go Giver speakers the other day, and I took like 8 pages of notes, signed up for all their resources, and learned a bunch of stuff that I implemented immediately. So grateful for them.
Yeah. And so we're going to be talking about technology, which doesn't seem like any big deal because that's what everybody's talking about these days. But I got to tell you, these guys have a totally different spin on it and really do such a fantastic job. What I think is funny is being in sales for 40 years. I'm often asked, and it seems like every time something new comes along technologically, I'm asked, well, so do you think sales will ever be the same, or has it, changed? So we had, we had email, then we had social media, now we have AI technology, and I keep getting that same question. And first thing I tell people is we've always had technology. It changes and it gets better and it gets more powerful. But 40 years ago, when I started in sales, we had this wonderful technology tool, and you could use it to prospect, to form relationships, to go deep into a person's business, to close sales, to get referrals. Wonderful technology tool. It was called the telephone. And it worked really, really well. Now, obviously, today's technology is so much more advanced, and it really puts us in a position to meet and connect with people we ordinarily wouldn't have. It's wonderful. The problem, I think, comes when people see the technology as an end in and of itself, as opposed to the means to an end, which is creating the relationships that result in new business and a better world and situation for everybody. And what I absolutely love about our special guest today is that this is exactly what they bring to the table. Terry Brock and Gina Carr, in any profession, would be called a power couple. Terry's a member of the National Speakers Association Hall of Fame, as well as one of a very, very select group of people who've won that association's highest award, the Cavett, presented to just one person a year. I look at it as being comparable to winning the Academy Award for Best Actor, right? There's one of them a year, and Terry won it several years ago. He's a marketer. He shows clients how to leverage their AI technology in order to build strong and profitable relationships. He's known for his saying, and by the way, he's always been known for this saying because he's always been on the cutting edge of technology. And he's always said, it's not about the e-commerce, electronics, it's about the R-commerce relationships. Gina Carr is a serial entrepreneur who specializes in helping coaches and speakers move from having a business based on unpredictable income to one that is predictable, profitable, and immensely fulfilling. With an MBA from Harvard and an engineering degree from Georgia Tech, this marketing maven is an expert in leveraging technology to create stable, recurring revenue streams. Now, Terry and Gina are also co-founders of Stark Raving Entrepreneurs, which we'll learn about soon. They have several websites that we'll mention during this conversation. It will be placed in the chat section. The three biggies are Terry Brock, Terry with a Y, terrybrock.com, Gina Carr with 2 R's.com, and starkravingentrepreneurs.com. Terry and Gina, welcome.
Hey, it is great to be here. Wonderful to be with you again, Bob.
Always wonderful to have you. Kim was mentioning earlier that the two of you came on to our, we have certified Go-Giver speakers, and you came on and did a session for us, and you just blew everybody away. I mean, you could just, you could see everybody taking all the notes and everything. And I mean, we just absolutely loved it. But what's interesting is, it's what you teach, what both of you teach, not just for speakers. I mean, you think about it. We have entrepreneurs, we have sales professionals, we have medical professionals, we have attorneys, we have all sorts of people, who are watching this and listening in. And the principles don't change. Tactics change, depending in certain techniques and so forth. But so how does AI technology relate to all of us who are looking to build a business both on connection, collaboration, relationships, and ultimately a higher bottom line?
Well, I think, Bob, you said it very well. The key is it's about relationships. It's about people to people, whatever the technology is. The technology is there to make life better for us as human beings. I think of the technology that my buddy Og had a little while ago. Og came up with this thing called fire back in the cave. When we had that, it was a new technology. Hey, it'll keep you warm. Yeah. It'll cook your food. Yeah, that's good, but it's dangerous too. Oh, out of hand, Okay, well, technology's like that. And think of airplanes. Airplanes are the safest form of transportation that we have. And yet, are they 100% safe? Well, on planet Earth, it doesn't work that way. And so people have lost their lives there. But we study that and we understand what the technology can do to help us make lives better for human beings. I think that's pretty much the key to it all.
Yeah. Gina, your thoughts?
Well, I just concur with what Terry's saying, that the technology in so many ways makes our lives so much better. We take it for granted most of the time, which we take for granted that we have access to these amazing computers, to the internet, to social media, being able to communicate with friends across the globe free, effortlessly. I'm old enough to remember expensive long distance calls when you needed to make long distance calls to people. But as tech increases and improves, tools like the social media platforms, like the different ways to communicate in so many ways are here. And AI, I believe, is something we're going to take for granted as well. It's going to be like a co-pilot to attorneys, to doctors, to most every professional, everyone who's trying to do anything that has to do with generating thoughts, generating something in writing, and creating videos, creating audios and images. It's just amazing what it can do, and so exciting.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I'm looking at some of the comments in the chat, and everybody's very excited about this. And I do want to let everybody know in the chat. Feel welcome to ask a question, and we'll relay it to Gina and Terry. So, guys, get us started. Somebody, any entrepreneur, any salesperson, what have you. What's the first thing they do? I know you've got tons of tools and all those things, but what's the basic? How do we get started in this?
Well, I think to get started, what we want to do is too often we'll start where we shouldn't, and that would be looking at the technology. And the nerd in me likes that. I see the new technology. Ooh, there's a nice one. The nerd in me says, this is good. Yes, I want more of it. But it's like, okay, Terry, slow down there. So hold on there, Sparky. What you want to do is you want to step back and look at what is the purpose here? What are we trying to accomplish? Oh, okay. Well, in entrepreneurs, we know if we focus on the other person, like you tell us so well, Bob, focusing on solving problems for others, helping them to achieve the life that they want. That's how we do it. So we use that. And then we have these new thingies called AI. And like any new technology that comes along, there's a certain amount of fear in it because, hey, we don't know what's going on. And there are some legitimate, real concerns that we need to be aware of, much like, to use my example of flying. Flying is good, yet we also know that we had to do a lot of study and people did lose their lives, but we learned when there were problems. And that's what we need to do here. So I think we begin by looking at what is the problem that people are having that we want to solve. How can we solve that? By deploying the right technologies in the right way. And I think if we start with that, then we're off to a much better start. We get things done. And when we look at something like AI, it really is dramatically changing our lives right now. I'd say to everyone listening to this, you picked a really good time to be born, because now we're seeing the technology as never before. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but it's like we got a combination of the Gutenberg press and the internet and all kinds of good things. Crystal clear water, my favorite drink, they all rolled into one and really good for us and helping us out. So it's good, but we've got to look at what is the problem and how do we solve that. Gina, I think that's kind of the issue. What do you think?
Well, I would just add that keep it simple. As Terry said, think about what the problem is you're trying to solve. And so many of the things that you want to do with AI, you can do with the standard ChatGPT. It's very powerful and it's very easy to use. There's still a free version. There's a currently $20 a month version and a $200 a month version. And there may be some other variations, but those are the main ones. But this morning I saw an article that said there are 60,000 AI tools today. So there are new tools popping up all the time. It can be very overwhelming. It can be confusing. And people could say, well, I don't know which one to use. I don't know what to do. Use ChatGPT. And if it can't solve the problem, ask it what tool it would recommend to solve whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
One of the, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I'm just thinking that is so applicable because the change has happened, at least for someone like me, the change seems to have happened where AI has become so prevalent pretty quickly. And as it keeps advancing even more as we go, I was joking with someone yesterday. I said, I'm totally convinced right now that the CRM tools are so advanced and AI is so advanced, I could literally just be thinking, I need to give Kim Angeli a call. And the next thing you know, Siri would be dialing the number and a Kim Angeli ad would pop up in my Facebook ad. I mean, it's that big. But as someone who maybe like me, who started in the old way, what kind of advice would you have for them to start embracing some of the tools like ChatGPT can really do some awesome things?
And before the answer, a connection to that, Dr. Saeed asks, how do you overcome the challenge of so many options? So I think that ties right into what you just asked, Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much out there that we can really get overwhelmed. We look at it and go, oh no, and yet there's another one out there. Matter of fact, Bob, since we started this, 5 new AI tools have just come out that are even better. They're great. And I mean, how are we going to keep up with it all? We get frazzled with it and all that. But I think the way we kind of do it is we got to take a look at what matters most. And we've got to look at where we're going to be and how to do it. I think Clay Shirky said something that was so profound about this. He said, the problem is not information overload. The problem is filter failure. And what
Uh,
we need to do
Ooh.
is to have the right filters. So I would go back to Sajid's, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly there, question that is very, very good. How do you know it? Well, we've got to get good filters because, Bob, what would be right for you might not necessarily be right for me or for Gina or for whoever. But that doesn't mean it's good or bad. With
Right.
60,000 of those tools, and I got a feeling that is a pretty close, accurate number, we can't do it all, but you can develop filters on what is it that I want to do. One of the things I really like about AI, where it goes beyond a lot of the other, matter of fact, I think all of the other technologies that we've seen, it has the ability to think and to reason with you. I'll put that in air quotes, but it gives you the ability to say, what do you think about this? And it can say this. And then I can come back as the jaded journalist that I am and say, yeah, but what about, and then it can come back in a conversation, say, you raise a good point, Terry, but this and this apply now. And what about this? It's like you're having a conversation with a person so you can think through how to solve a problem. It's more than just, what is the capital of Russia that we type into a Google search and up pops Moscow. Okay, good, we got it. Well, now it's more, what are they doing there? And what's the kind of food they like for lunch? And how do you say this in Russian? Matter of fact, one of the things it does, I'm working on my Spanish right now. Living here in Florida, it's a good idea to do that. And I've spoken in Mexico a few times, want to do even more. But I can say, how do you say such and such phrase in Spanish? And it will tell me, and then I practice it. And it will come back and say, that was good, Terry, but that last word, you say it more this way than that way. Whoa, that's a whole lot more than just the way many of us learn with audio cassette tapes, which we remember, yeah, and they were really good. The technology was fabulous, and yet we would just hear, we wouldn't know if we were saying it wrong.
Right.
Now AI steps in there and goes, that was good, Terry, but you really need to say it this way. Try it again. And it has the patience to keep hanging in there with me for my 4,000 times that I might try to do it and finally get it right.
So I wanted to ask you something about that I call AI counsel. But I want to make sure, I saw Kim taking a note. So I want to make sure, Kim, that I'm not stepping on you and that you didn't have a question or a comment you want.
Oh, you're good. I just
Okay.
wrote down filter failure.
Okay. So yeah. Oh yeah. That was great. So Terry, you and I got on the phone about a month ago. I had a interview coming up where I was going to be a guest, and I wasn't as familiar with the philosophy, let's say, of the host as I wanted to be. And I thought you might be, and I called to ask you a question. So you gave me some great advice where you could actually, and I think people can use it. This is one of these areas that I don't think people think about when it comes to artificial intelligence, technology, AI technology, sorry. And that is, and you said, well, get onto this and ask what this person's philosophy is about this. What have they said before? How? And it was a great way to be able to research this person.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. And not everybody knows that, but there's a body of work. For instance, the person we were talking about is well known in a certain community. I've met the person, admire that person, and thought, oh, this is going to be good. And you had questions about it. Well, I say, because he has a body of work that is public, we can go and say, what does this person think about this issue or that issue? What has she said about this? What has he said about that? Learn those kind of things. Similar to what we can do as a professional speaker, it's good to know what people are concerned about in the audience where you're speaking. And in the political area, sometimes that can be kind of hot. One of the things I loved doing in the last election was, like anyone, I have opinions of what should be done, shouldn't be done, etc. But I took a particular issue that was kind of hot. Here's the issue. And I say, okay, now I believe this, this, and this over here on this side, A, B, and C. Tell me, what do people who are on the other side of that believe? Oh, they believe D, E, and F. Okay, tell me, why do they believe that? And I'm not arguing. We're not yelling at each other. It's just me and the AI. But I'm hearing their points of view. Like, why do they believe? Okay, that makes sense. If you believe this and this, then you're going to believe that. But I think what we always need to do is to check our premises. Ayn Rand told us that. Check your premises. Right. Very important to understand where you're coming from. So you believe this, 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 and it's because you believe that based on this. Okay, but what about this? Here's one of my journalism, yeah, but what about kind of questions coming around to say, yeah, but what about this? And it was kind of neat, Bob, I got to tell you, between you and me. Don't tell anybody else this, but it was really cool when the AI would come back and go, Terry, you raised some very good points. Now, I don't know if it was just trying to pat my ego here, but I thought, okay, yeah, I got some good points over here. Yeah, so there. But at least you see that way we can more empathize. Very important. Empathize and feel things from the other person's point of view. So we can say, I understand you're saying because of this, and you raise some legitimate concerns. I found often we want the ultimate end the same. It's just, how do we get there? The methodologies that we use are often different. So I think, Bob, that's something I've seen that is really good about AI, is it helps us to do a lot more than just getting an answer back real fast.
Can the corporate salesperson use that too in their prospecting? And let's say they're working a complex sale.
Even more important than the complex
sale. So they have a number of people who they need to know more about, and not say the wrong thing necessarily that might, hit a button and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a lot of issues. And one of the beautiful things we can do, matter of fact, those of you watching this, you might want to write this down. Tell me what I am not asking you that I should. Because then AI can go out there and go, oh, you don't know about the oogie boogie problem that's going on over here in this corporation. You're going in there and they're all concerned about oogie boogie. It happened last week. You didn't know about it, but in that industry over here in the Journal of Oogie Boogies that you don't read a lot, but it's a fabulous magazine. Oogie Boogies, they talked about this. They went into detail of that so that now you can come in there and say, okay, you got a great company here at ABC Company. You've done this and this. I understand now you got this oogie boogie issue. And they're going, how did she know about that? Oh, right. Well, I did a little bit of research and it's there. And you're doing this. There's ways it can be addressed. I know that company A did it this way, didn't work. Company B tried that. It was close, but company C implemented it with these things and it worked. Maybe we can try that here with you now. So now they're going, whoa, this one, she's really smart. She can help us on these areas. Maybe we really ought to bring her on board, or at least go to the next interview.
This is gold. Yeah, this is
taking notes, because what you just gave was pure gold right there.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. And Terry, I just have a quick question. I have found myself and my 22-year-old daughter, I'll put some youngster in the group. And I went to a conference last week and we discussed it, because it was called Innovate. And I'm watching myself go to ChatGPT more than ever. I don't go to Google anymore. That behavior's changed. And they talked about it, that I'm going to ChatGPT because it's quicker, it's faster. I don't have to scroll through the sponsored and the things. And so she and I were talking about that. And so her age group actually is predominantly using ChatGPT as the search engine. So could you speak to that, where you see that as well in behavior, habits and behaviors changing?
And then, Gina, I want to bring you back in too, because I know you had something you were about to say.
Oh, sorry
Gina.
about that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I just happened to note Gina after you'd started, and I wanted to just make sure I don't forget to bring Gina back in after Terry. So go ahead, Gina.
Yeah, I learned a lot from Gina. I got to tell you, she helps me. Matter of fact, even just this morning, we were sitting in the kitchen talking about something she did just earlier today that helped me enormously. So she is a jewel and helping me with that. But Kim, you raised a very good point. And what I do is I go back to principles. First principles I think are important. One of the principles we learned in journalism was to have 3 non-corroborating sources. If I go out and I ask a person, I say, what do you think about important issue? And she tells me this, this, and this. I go, oh, I would be derelict in my duty if I went back to the typewriter or whatever tool we're going to use to communicate, and I typed up a story, wrote up the story, and said, this is the way it is, and say, there's the truth. I would be derelict in my duty. She might be right. She could also be wrong. I want to go to another person, non-corroborating. They don't know each other, not talking about this. And I want to hear that, oh, same thing. Oh, we call that a coincidence. And then they'll go to a third person. They're saying that also. I go, oh, it's a trend. I say with tongue firmly implanted in cheek. All 3 of them could be wrong, or all 3 could be right. But what I can do is go back and say, from the evidence we've seen so far, there's a strong preponderance of A, B, and C. Now, that could be wrong, but we think this is good because this person, and this person all told me this is true. So Kim, circling back to your very important and astute question, I would want to get several different sources. By the way, we will use Google now. I would agree with you in what you were saying 2 weeks ago or a month ago, and it's changing so fast. Google has Gemini and Gemini 2.5 now, just as we're recording this. That means they watched what OpenAI is doing with ChatGPT. And they said, hey, we got to do some of this. We got to do some of that. And so we as consumers ultimately win when there's competition. I think we need a lot of competition, of course, except in my field. I don't want any competition, but I think in every other field, we do need it. It's really important out there. But I would say look at other sources and check into that. Gina, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, going back to the browser issue specifically, for many months now, I have had as my default browser, I changed it from Google to ChatGPT. And in almost every circumstance, it works far better than Google. And so a lot of people are doing this. I think Terry has his default search engine set at a tool called Perplexity. Mm-hmm. And so that's another great LLM that will work for you. And I got to tell you, for you guys who have been focused on search engine optimization for many years, and you've put out a lot of YouTube videos and you've done all these traditional things that you needed to do to master and be on the first page of Google, it can be very different what you're going to need to do for to be on the top of the ChatGPTs or the AI searches. So nowadays we're saying search, it means search everywhere optimization, not just search engine optimization, SEO. I call it AEIOU, MOUSE, because you really have to focus on the AI search. So, for example, we work with a lot of thought leaders, and a lot of thought leaders have focused on getting their YouTube videos into place, and that makes them show up great on Google. Yes, absolutely. Well, I've been doing some research recently for some of our clients, and the folks who are showing up tops on the AI and the Perplexity searches are the ones who have a Wikipedia page, and the ones who are listed with bureaus that are very renowned, some of the big speakers bureaus that are out there. So it'd be a good idea, no matter what your business. Some of our other clients that are not speakers, same thing. They are not showing up the way they were on Google. So you need to do the research. And if you're not showing up in the initial search, ask ChatGPT how you can do that. Say, why wasn't my business? Why wasn't I shown here? What can I do to change that? And it may be a very long-term process, such as getting a Wikipedia page. It can take years. And I mean, it can be done very quickly, but it won't necessarily stay up there. So you have to have the appropriate press. You have to have had a lot of coverage in major media to get a Wikipedia page. And so that's just one of those things that people need to be thinking about with browser search.
Oh, thank you. Want to ask a question, something that actually, before I do, because it's 28 past the hour, we've got a while to go, but I do want to make sure that you know Terry's URL, terrybrock.com, TERRY Brock.com, Gina Carr with 2 R's.com. They also have a great site. We're going to be talking about this in a little bit as well, called Stark Raving Entrepreneurs, that you want to check out. And I believe join. I mean, it's really that good. And they have a number of other resources. They're also going to be having an event on Thursday that we'll talk about at the end as well, that you want to join. So Terry, first, one of the fears people have is, okay, well, I'm a content creator, but now it's just anybody can create content. They just have to go into AI and create the content. And you know what distinguishes me? And I read an article of yours the other day. You posted about repurposing content, and you quoted the famed martial artist and actor Bruce Lee, who said, make it specifically your own. Now, he was talking, of course, about martial arts. You call it you-izing. That was your word. I want to put a little TM trademark over that because I thought that was really cool. Now, again, he's speaking in terms of self-defense, but how do you relate this UIzing to AI and content creation? So someone who is a person who wants to be a thought leader, wants to have content, wants to have content that's going to draw people toward them. How do they distinguish themselves in an AI world, and also distinguish themselves even in terms of their own pre-used content?
Well, Bob, you hit on a very important topic. This is something that content creators, those of us who work with YouTube, podcasting, writing, we're concerned about. We see what's there. And you're right. It is something that is a concern. I like the way that Bruce Lee said, I love to read from a variety of sources. And when I see a quote I like, I go, oh, hey, we can use that. What Bruce Lee was talking about is you give it your own flavor, your own style in martial arts that he taught about. What he did and how he did it, he would take it and perfect it. He would say, you do it over and over. I grew up in martial arts myself. I worked my way through high school and undergrad school teaching Kodokan Judo. And I remember we'd had an instructor who would tell third degree black belt from Tokyo, and Toyoji Matsumoto-san. He was a wonderful man. And he would show us a new tool, a new throw or arm bar or something like that. And we would have to practice it over and over. And he would tell us, I'll never forget this, you must do it 1,000 times until it becomes natural. Then do it another 1,000. And I thought, yeah, that makes sense. We've got to practice it. And so what we want to do in AI is not do what some well-meaning people we see as I'm reading and looking at YouTube and what they're saying. They're saying, all you got to do is go over here, copy this and paste it in there, and you're done. You've got it. And I think, no, not really, because that's not you. You're not putting yourself into there. You're not you-izing it as you should. What I would modify that, I would say you want to copy, paste, and then customize. Like this morning, I was writing my regular post that I send out on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I wrote the one today. What I do is I start with a brain dump from what I'm thinking, is whatever's bouncing around my little noggin, and dump it into Google Docs. Thoughts that I have, quotes that are here and there. Oh, this is a good idea. Oh, I thought about this. And I just dump it in there. Don't worry about organizing it. Don't worry about spelling or any of that. Just dump it in there. And I'll use Google dictation because I can talk faster than I can type. And so I want to get the brain down, all the thoughts down there, rather than typing away and go, oh, I made a mistake there. Oh, hold it. Let me try that. Oh, I made another mistake. Hold it here. Now I'm focusing on my mistakes, not just talking it out there. So dump it in there, go for that. Then I go through, that's what I like to call my doggy draft. It's the rough draft. Get it? Doggy draft. That sounds funny to me, but so work with me on this. Come on. So anyway, I put it in there, it's the rough draft. Then I go back over it again and I'm checking it, making sure, let me change that word. That's not a good idea. Delete that. Oh, wait a minute. In addition to that, talk something else in there. Then I take it into AI. And there I let AI go over it, checking spelling, checking grammar, checking other little things that are not going right. Sometimes I had a problem with Google Docs. It would always, when I would talk about AI, it would put it in lowercase a, lowercase I. Now I can go back and correct that, of course, but that's taking time. And I don't want that time wasted on that. Let AI do it for me real quickly. So Bob, going back to your question, we need to find that unique thing about us. What is it that you've done? That article that you read a couple of weeks ago that you really resonated with, that writer, and what she said was just brilliant. Use that, quote her, attribute it to her, and then give your own feeling. I like what she said about this. Or she said that, and I understand that, but I would part company because of A, B, and C. Or I agree with her and I want to put an exclamation mark behind this part of it. Make it you. And that's how we will stand out amidst all of the AI that's out there. Anybody can copy and paste, but it takes a true professional and someone who is well-read, very important, watches a lot and learns, that can do that and put your own feelings into it. At least that's my thought on it. Bob, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh, I mean, to me, that's right on the mark. And I think that's why I related to UIzing. Yeah. And I think you can tell, Gina, you've probably seen this so much, and Kim and Jeff, that you almost know when it's AI when it's someone else, and I think now people have become suspicious almost.
Mhm.
and you start to look to see, is that really that person? Did they say that, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the key. What we have to do is I say you-ize it, and I'll even make it further. I say you would have to, Bob, in your case, you would want to Bob-ize it.
Yeah.
Jeff, you want to Jeff-ize it. Kim, you want to Kim-ize it. I like to Terry-ize it. It just sounds kind of cool that way. Terry-ize it in there, but we've got to put our own feeling in there. And Gina likes to Gina-ize it, and she does a really good job of it too.
Yeah. I love the Terry-ize it. So you're a Terryist.
A Terry-izer.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go with the Terriers. That's the other gear. We don't, but the Terry-izer.
The other NSA would have a problem with that. So
Yeah, that's right. They would. Good one, Jeff.
So, speaking of philosophies, which we weren't, but I thought it made a good segue anyway.
It sounds segueable.
It does.
Is that a word? I don't.
Nah, probably not. That's a Bob thing.
It is now.
Terry and Gina, you guys have a membership site that's really based on a philosophy. It's called Stark Raving Entrepreneurs. And the overarching philosophy, the bedrock foundation, if you will, is live and let live. How do you combine the two? I mean, I can see it, but because I know you guys, but how would you describe it? Would you combining and what's the benefit to someone being a member of a business site that is all about live and let live?
Gina, I'll let you handle that.
Well, it is part of what distinguishes us. There are a lot of business training programs out there. We have a community of entrepreneurs who believe in letting people do what they want to, as long as they aren't harming other people. And so that's a distinguishing feature of us. We're not the green jelly or the brown jelly. We're the live and let live, with the philosophy of that. You don't harm people and don't take their stuff, and take responsibility for your own actions. And so if people like that philosophy, they're more likely to like working with us, learning from us. Our program is, we have a community of people who want to learn about how AI can help them in their business. And specifically, we work with a lot of content entrepreneurs, a lot of service professionals, and we help them learn how to use this. We bring in speakers. We have access to, the members have access to a vault as well. We have a lab. For example, tomorrow afternoon, we'll be hosting a lab where we share the latest tools that we're excited about or how we're using them. And then our members are sharing also. It's a place for them to ask questions. It's just a really beautiful and powerful community of people who are working to make the world a better place through their thoughts and services and products. And we're just glad to gather them together. It was Terry's idea, this live and let live, and I fully support it.
Yeah, we just like the idea that you do whatever you want, as long as you don't harm others, you don't take their stuff. And I think Leonard Reed said it really well. He founded an organization called the Foundation for Economic Education years ago. And a philosophy of life, 3 words, I think it really works. Anything that's peaceful. If it's peaceful, fine. We're with you. You want to get out of peace? I'm going to be part in company on that. I don't want you to initiate the force or coercion. And so we wrap that into an entrepreneurial way of growing, living life to the fullest, helping others. And in our Stark Raving entrepreneur community, we often use the Japanese saying that became very famous also in Silicon Valley. None of us is as smart as all of us. So we're all learning from each other. We're growing, and in a field that's changing just at super fast speeds. That's okay. We learn. Someone will say, oh, I started using the new Ukiwagers, and oh, I hadn't heard of that one before. Oh, what is that? Well, that Ukiwager does this. Oh, well, I got the new thingamabob over here. Oh, really? Well, tell me about that. And so we've had a chance to look at that and you think, wow, if Ralph is using that Ukiwager, maybe it's pretty good. Or Mary would say, I tried this Leadly and didn't work at all. Okay, that's good to know too, that Leadly, stay away from those things.
George McGilvray, our great friend, author, entrepreneur from Scotland, he asks if you have been using ChatGPT. I wish I could do it with his accent, Scottish accent, and it's just
that's a great accent.
Yeah, If you have been using GTP and its GPT, and it's been getting to know you really well, would that knowledge be available to Gemini or Claude or any other AI?
That's important. Gina, you've done more study in that than I have. You know that.
I believe the answer is no. There are settings you can adjust in the different tools, including in ChatGPT. There's an easy way to customize it so that it's going to know you better. And but those settings do not, that information does not necessarily transfer to the other models. Now, to the extent that unless you have turned off the setting that allows your content and the questions you ask and such to be shared throughout the ChatGPT model, it is getting shared. I don't think the others are picking it up. Is my shorter answer.
Okay.
Yeah, take the steps to make sure that you turn it off. Each one is a little bit different, but a way to find out is if you're in ChatGPT, how do I set my ChatGPT up so that the comments I make are not available to the world? There's your prompt. Put that in there and it can find that. And if you're in Perplexity, similar kind of thing. If you're in Claude, similar kind of thing. Grok, whatever tool you're using. And we do recommend using a variety for that non-corroborating issue. But this way, some things you don't want the world to know. And the nice thing about it, matter of fact, if you go into ChatGPT and you're using 4.0, which is a really good one to use right now as we're recording, that's a hot one. In the upper right corner, you'll see temporary. So you can have it in temporary. So whatever you go through, it will be there, but will be erased afterwards. So that way, if you're doing something really secret and you don't want, okay, fine. But it might be something you're working on. You do want that to be retained because it might be for a project you're working on. You're working for a client and nothing real super secret about it. You just want to get some ideas. You can just make sure that it's turned off. The temporary is turned on. You're not using that. And these are saved in what would be called a project. That's a good way to do it over in ChatGPT. Save it in the project. So now you can go, well, Bob and I were talking about this last week. What did we say? We go over to project. Oh, yeah, that's right. Bob had the idea to do this and this. There it is.
Got it. May I ask one more viewer question, please?
Yeah.
Okay. David Bryan, he's a business architect. He, he loved filter failure as well. He asks, how do you see thought leaders like yourselves playing the role in online education with regard to how our children learn in school, employees learn in companies, etc.? He continues, it seems to me we lose human connection and opportunities to learn emotional intelligence when we remove the human element and resort to AI talking heads. He said, your conversation today is a wonderful example of maintaining the human connection.
Well, I think that part of it is, and this is where communities like ours and like yours, Bob, I'm sure come in, is people can get the knowledge, but they want to be able to discuss it. They want to be able to express it and to hear from other people what they're thinking. Now, you can ask your AI and you can have your whole conversation with AI, with your AI tool, but there's a place for people to come together in community. You know, fundamentally, we're all like Terry's friend Og there. We're all very tribal in nature. And so we want to get together with people that we trust and people who are on a similar journey so that we can say, hey, I'm thinking about this. Does that make sense? I want to launch this new program. I want to buy this business. And so you can get feedback from other human beings. So that's going to be true at all levels, in grade school as well as in the business world and PhD programs around the world. People are going to be able to learn, yes, but then they need to be able to activate. They need to be able to put it into motion and into works for themselves.
Absolutely. Matter of fact, one of the things we do with our stark raving entrepreneurs during COVID, we obviously couldn't get out and move around as much, but people told us over and over, and we found the same thing for ourselves. We really craved the weekly meeting that we had. Every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we'd all get together. People would say, that's the highlight of my week. I get a chance to be there. We're sharing ideas. So I think to David's point, we need not either or, the learning and all the sophisticated technology or the community. We really need both. And we did that virtually for that period of time. And now we have times we get together physically. We need that. But I think now we're going to go way beyond learning as it's been traditionally used. Just like a classroom today would not look like one, say, from the 17th century, where you'd have the, the blackboard and the white chalk and all that, and the rules and the regulations they had back then. We'd look at some of them and go, hey, that's not quite right. Well, we're going to look at using AI as a way to learn initially, because you can get that feedback. You've got a teaching ability for young children as well as children of all ages, 24/7. The very best tutors anywhere in the world that are alive now or no longer with us. You can bring in the wisdom of that and then go over it repetitiously. We know that repetition is the mother of learning. Повторение мать учения. I remember studying Russian to that. That's what that means. Repetition is the mother of learning. And so we can have that happen with AI for children of all ages, so we can learn something. I know sometimes my little noggin's just not that good, and I've got to go over it and over it many times. Well, you can do that as much as you want. And so that's where it's not either or. It's both and develop that community virtually. And when you can have the physical component, that's also really important. We know we like to have that and keep that going.
Well, you both have a free workshop coming up this Thursday, March 29th at 2 Eastern time on how to convert content into cash. People will learn about the value in repurposing content that's already been created, such as videos, podcasts, blogs, and more. And then they'll then share you all will share the various tools that can make it much easier and faster. The link is content to the number 2 cash.com. So content numeral 2 cash.com. Again, the event is free when you register there. Do you want to give us a little 411 on this, more than what I said?
We're dealing with repurposing, which means once you write an article, that's good. And too often in the past, I would write an article for papers or a client or whatever I do, and then that was it. And then the next week, you're staring at that blank screen or blank piece of paper when we use typewriters and wondering, okay, what should I write about this time? Well, now you can repurpose, which means take that article that was really good. People liked it. They said so. And you found a lot of good response to it, and pull out pieces of it and amplify that. Or take the written article, make it a video by adding a few extra features in there, or make it an audio only podcast. That's a possibility as well. Plus, you can get pictures with it. There's a bunch of tools that give you that ability to do that, and then it can repurpose it. One of the things, we're using a tool called Taja. And matter of fact, Bob, this happened just yesterday. We took the long form content. Gina and I were covering a particular thing. Taja went in there and said, oh, of all this, people are really looking for what this said. Matter of fact, it was what Gina was saying for about 45, 55 seconds. It pulled that out, made it a special video, and we're already over, what I think, 422 views on just that one. This was yesterday.
Wow.
Because the AI found out what Gina said is what literally hundreds of thousands of people are talking about and want to know about. So it said, we'll pull this out, put it in there, tell the world about it. And we're having more and more all the time coming and listening to the genius that Gina said on just that one little clip. We're putting others in there. It's great. Oh, then, and by the way, the real good thing, they employ the Costco method. At least it's what I call Costco. In Costco, you go to there and they have these wonderful people at the end of the aisle. They're serving wonderful, delicious foods and things. They go, here, you want to try one of these? What is that? I don't know. Let me try. Whoa, that's really good. What's that called again? May I have another one? Yeah. Okay, try one more. And it's on sale. If I get 2 of them, buy 2, I get 1 free. Well, here's my card. Let's load them up. I win because I get some. Costco wins. They're getting more sales. The people who created it win. Everyone wins. And so with these videos, when it says go back and see the whole video, people said, oh, I like that little snippet of what Gina said. I want to now go back and watch the whole thing. That's where repurposing really comes in and shines.
Okay, so the content to cash.com, the 2 is a numeral. So content numeral 2 cash.com. And be sure to visit Gina and Terry's individual sites. Terry's terrybrock.com. Gina is ginacarr.com, and especially their Stark Raving Entrepreneurs site, which is starkravingentrepreneurs.com. How can you not love that name? I just absolutely love that name. Gina and Terry.
Edgy.
Yeah. Thank you guys both, Terry and Gina. We're going to visit back with you in just a couple minutes, but just thank you so much for being on with us. You guys are just totally awesome. You do it every time.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff and Kim and Bob. We really appreciate it. And Bob, thank you particularly. You're my buddy. We've known each other for a long time. Those of you that might not know Bob, he's great. He really is like this one-on-one. He helps people. And Bob, just from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you. And thank you very much for all that you do to keep our world going in a better way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Arigato, my friend. Thank you.
Arigato gozaimashita.
Hey, I want to give a big thanks and shout out to our show producer, Joseph Lewin. He is founder of Sell Through Social. He does a great job. He helps speakers and coaches grow their influence through live shows on LinkedIn and YouTube. He's very easy to work with. He's always learning. He's always there for us. Just a great guy. And of course, Jeff and Kim, my two cohorts in our SalesWise Live, and we do a lot of things together. Just great friends of mine. Kim, again, her book, you want to pick this up, My Daily Gratitude Journal. And, Jeff, one of his books, The Unexpected Tour Guide. We've also written a book together, Streetwise to Saleswise. He wrote with, take Lisa's book as well, Lisa Wilbur's book that he did with Lisa, who's the number 4, number 5 all-time Avon top producer or something.
Yeah, wonderful lady.
Oh yeah, she is. She's wonderful. And so Jeff's written. He's got a new one coming out with Bill Cates, who's a legend in the financial area. And thanks to all of you. Hey, Jeff and Kim, what did you guys think of Terry and Gina in this conversation? Was that something?
Just amazing. That you two always are just you have so much knowledge, and you're always willing to share. We appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you very much.
I still took notes.
I know I could hear.
I'm like writing things down. So I will be joining you on your call and checking out your membership, because I learned something every time around both of you.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
I often talk about, and then we'll get going. But Jeff came up with, after he retired from his very distinguished career with Raflac, he went in and really did a study on what causes people to make decisions and so forth, and he called them fusion points, which is where the emotion, which was where positive emotion and logic join together. It's really fascinating what he does.
I'm writing that down.
But it's when you create fusion points, you create feelings of love and acceptance and so forth, and it's really game changing. But Kim Angeli, I always say, when I describe Kim Angeli, I can describe her in one sentence. Kim Angeli is a walking fusion point, because you can't meet Kim Angeli without absolutely falling in love with her, and just and she speaks on gratitude, and she lives it, and it's wonderful. So I just want to thank all 4 of you, 4 of my best buddies, really. So when we say Bob and friends, wow, is it literally in this case. So thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope you enjoyed yourself, learned a lot. We'll continue to connect with Terry and Gina, and just make it a great day. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks. We will have Arlen Sorensen with us. Arlen's story was actually featured in Go Givers Sell More, John David Mann's and my second book in the Go Giver series. And he is an absolutely phenomenal human being, and just wise beyond years, and is just nice a human being as he is wise. So we'll see you then. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. So long, everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye.